So weather in Japan is kind of hard to explain because there's so much of it, and it varies so greatly from place to place. Japan stretches from tropical islands in the south all the way up to, depending on who you talk to, subarctic areas in the north. And the islands itself are so thin and narrow and mountainous that even just a short ways in from the Pacific Ocean side or the Sea of Japan, you're up in the mountains. So sea level and the mountains make it totally different. So really giving a general weather of Japan is impossible. But Tokyo, as it is pretty much all around 4 seasons, a little bit of everything. It doesn't get super cold and it doesn't get so super hot, but it is pretty nasty in summer and pretty cold in winter. One of the most common things people complain about when they get here is that houses are poorly insulated. Actually, this house, it basically is like living in a tent, and it's almost impossible to keep any kind of heat inside. Most houses like this one, you just have like point heaters here and there. This is my heater, but unfortunately it can't really heat the whole house. It's just a one-room kind of heater. So you have little areas of warmth throughout the house that you have to jump between. Or this wonderful thing here, which is called a kotatsu. It basically just looks like a table, but underneath the table is a heating element. And then you get a big kind of quilt and wrap it around it, and you can sit here all snug and spend the day. But if you try to leave the kotatsu, you will freeze to death. That's one of the negative points about this house. But they build it like kind of without so much insulation, because in summer when it gets hot, it's actually very cool in here. But in winter, it's really hard to keep the heat in. Of course, if you go up north to Hokkaido, where it's colder pretty much year-round, you will find better insulated houses. And apartments are much smaller, so you don't have to heat as much space. But definitely it's a different way of living with winter. The kotatsu used to actually be filled with coals, actual hot burning coals, before the dawn of electricity. And this is one of the many reasons why Tokyo burned to the ground many, 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 many times. Now they don't use coals anymore, but there is still some little pieces of culture left over from that time period. Fire has always been a huge issue, especially in winter for Tokyo. And they used to have groups of people who would go around and actually bang some sticks together and try to warn people to be careful with their fire. This still continues today, and actually you'll probably hear in your neighborhood or see a couple of elderly people walking around with sticks banging together and basically reminding people to be careful with their gas heaters or whatnot. Now it's kind of just an hobby for old people. I don't think it really is useful to any extent anymore. But it still goes on. Winter is also a special time for food. When you're wrapped up in your kotatsu reading a book or watching TV, you will almost always have a mikan. A mikan is a wonderful little blessing. It's basically an orange, almost always seedless, pretty easy to peel, sweet and delicious, and they're everywhere at wintertime in Japan, and quite cheap. You buy them by the bags. They rock. There's so many seasonal foods for the Japanese people. In every season, in every part of the country, there's different seasonal foods. But to give you a good example of one such food, I would definitely think soba. Soba. For example, kake soba is buckwheat noodles in a kind of hot soup, whereas zaru soba is cold noodles. The cold noodles are most commonly eaten in summer, and hot noodles obviously in winter. There's no set rule that you have to eat them, and generally they're both available year-round. But for the most part, everybody pretty much sticks to the hot noodles in winter and the cold noodles in summer. Now here in Tokyo, one of the other most popular seasonal foods is the ishiyaki imo, which is a stone-grilled potato. This is a yaki imo, a grilled sweet potato sold from a little vendor like this around the city in wintertime. They are delish. There we go. A little rock still attached to the potato. That's not edible. Nice. Yum. Nice. Smoking. Delicious. Very, very delicious. I will now wash this down with my favorite winter beverage. Hot lemon. Many companies make a variation on this. It's basically like a lemon tea with honey in a little screw top can, and it's awesome. And you get it from vending machines or convenience stores anywhere in the city. It's a cool kind of thing about the vending machines. They switch out the products according to the season. So when winter comes, they convert the products over to winter season stuff like cocoa and hot coffee and things like that. Then when it gets warmer again, it goes all back to cold drinks, colas and things like that. So actually the vending machines are all changed out depending on the season. That's a very nice little touch in winter. Another little thing that you can't survive Tokyo winter without is the Hokkairon. Hokkairon is a little bag filled with rhinoceros penis and elf magic. And once you take it out of the package, it heats up and becomes like a little pocket warmer. There's nothing specifically Japanese about it, but I haven't seen this so much in other countries, and at least not in the US. I started seeing them a little bit recently in like sporting goods stores and stuff like that in the US, but they're more popular here. I think one of the reasons is that Tokyoites are really bad at dealing with winter. It's many cities are like this, but basically they freak out in snow. If there's like 1 or 2 centimeters of snow, the whole city shuts down. I once saw a guy, literally, I saw a guy putting chains on his tires, and there was like this much snow on the ground. People don't dress for the weather here. They've gelled their hair, so it's impossible to wear like a proper warm toque or knit hat or anything like that. And people don't generally have good winter clothing in Tokyo. Especially men, I don't see many people dressed well. So everyone's always freezing their ass off when they're walking around the city. But if you go northern Japan, like Hokkaido or Tohoku, they're perfectly squared away and they know how to deal with winter. It's just in Tokyo, people don't seem to understand the concept of cold weather. Yeah, winter is not my favorite season in Japan, but it definitely is fun. It rarely snows in Tokyo. It hasn't yet this year. And hey, with global warming, maybe it won't ever again. Who knows? But I personally enjoy my mikans, my kotatsu, and of course, my ishiyaki imo. Stay warm.